Part 4 is the big one.
Oh,
Money. Isn't this what Jesus spoke more about?
yeah.
In
Well, I
part
thought
one?
last part 3 was what you thought he had his real beef about.
Well, that was his pet peeve. This is the thing he spoke about the most, right?
Yeah.
The big issue.
I think this is the
Money.
big issue for people's hearts
Mm.
more than anything else. The secret love, more than for other things, the love of money.
Mm.
So that's what he's going for here, which is a big one. I think it's probably the most challenging stuff that Jesus talks about.
Well, yeah, because I think it works both ways. If you've not got any money and you're obsessed with money,
Yep.
just as much as if you've got loads of money and you're obsessed with money.
Mm. Yeah.
Is that right?
Mm.
Mm.
Or the other way, that you can have no money and be free,
Yeah.
or have loads of money and be free.
That's the thing with the heart
Yeah.
issues.
Yes. It's very difficult to judge on the outside, isn't it?
Mm.
But Jesus does give some clear teaching about how do you work out if you love God or you love money. Because you can't do both.
So
Either
how
one
do
or
you
the
work
other.
out?
I think what he's saying is basically, how generous are you?
Yeah.
Can you give generously your money away? Or is it one of those things that is like, every time you open your wallet, it's like painful?
I can give your money away generously.
Yeah, that's the thing. We can give other people's money quite easily, can't we? Just not our own.
Mm.
That's what Jesus says. Actually, he says in another place, similar kind of thing, that actually it wasn't your money in the first place. So if you view it like that, then giving money becomes quite easy.
Yeah.
So he starts off by saying, listen, you're storing up treasures for yourself. But where? On earth or in heaven?
Mm.
And his point is this: if you do it by storing them up for yourself on earth, then you've had your reward there. But if you store them up in heaven by being generous, by giving away, then you've really got something to live for. The stuff on earth is just going to waste away, get eaten.
Yeah.
It's going to rot. The stuff you store in heaven never ends.
Well, we've been around quite a long time now, haven't we? And married how many years?
27.
So the stuff we had when we were first married is literally rotting and falling apart. So you start to see it as you go on longer.
I guess you do, yeah, that's right.
See that things actually do just decay.
Yeah. Not going to last. So, best off giving it away, Pam.
Okay.
That's what it says. He goes on to say this strange little phrase: the eye is the lamp of the body. If the eye is good, the whole body is full of light. If the eye is bad, it's full of darkness. A bit of a strange thing, but it's actually using a Hebrew idiom, a phrase in Hebrew, which was a bad eye. If someone's got an evil eye or a bad eye, it means they're stingy. If they've got a good eye, it means they're generous. That's what it means. So once you understand that, then it seems to make sense. Otherwise, you're wondering, what on earth is Jesus talking about?
I didn't know that bit.
Yeah, there you go.
Is that what our Lebanese friend has, the evil eye thing, or is that different?
It's different.
Oh, okay, forget that.
No, there's different evil eyes. But for the Hebrew, the word for eye is also the word for spring, like a spring of water. So there's this idea of how much water's coming out. Is it bad? In other words, the spring is blocked up and nothing's coming out? Or is it a good spring? Does it flow?
Out of your eyes.
So he's using that. That's how the Hebrews saw it, that if your eye was good, it meant you were a generous person.
Huh.
The spring was flowing well. Whereas if the eye is bad, it means that there's only a little trickle coming out. It's got blocked. So, good springs, bad springs, good eyes, bad eyes.
I never heard that before.
No, well, there you go.
Makes me think of SpongeBob SquarePants when he used to
So that's why Jesus uses that and says, listen, if your generosity is bad, your whole body is full of darkness. There's a bad way to be if you're not generous with what you've been given. Because, and he goes on to say this, you can only serve one master. You choose, is it God, which leads to generosity? Is it money, which leads to stinginess and darkness? So, which is challenging stuff. But then he gives this teaching about who God is. And says, don't you realize that God is the most generous being out of everyone? You think about how generous God is. He gives to people whether they're worth it, whether they don't deserve it. He gives. Look at the birds. See, they're not working. They're not struggling and striving and worrying. They know God will provide. He says, how much more will your Father in heaven provide for you? In other words, get a glimpse of how God, the generosity of God is. And then it will start to set you free to be able to be generous to those around you.
I love that.
That's his heart. And he says, in the midst of that community, you'll find people will meet the needs that you have. That you won't go, if you seek God first together, then you're not going to have anybody going in need. Which is a beautiful vision of a community. That's what we strive for.
Lovely. End of part
4.